because you really intrigued me about the heavy metals. And the reason why is because I never really knew about heavy metals. I didn't even know that was a thing. I want you to talk to me as though I'm clueless about heavy metals. What do you mean by heavy metals? How do we get heavy metals in our body when we're totally unaware that we're not biting into a heavy metal sandwich or not listening to heavy metal music? You know what I mean? How do we get heavy metals into our system? How does that work?
So they do pass through the placenta barrier. There has been tests where people had 1,000-year-old mercury in their bodies, just passed down from the placenta barrier.
Wow.
Um, yeah, now it's crazy, right? You can't even
So that's coming
imagine
down from generations?
the generation. Yeah, yeah. And you remember when they had the term the Mad Hatter? Did you ever hear that?
Yeah.
Well, they were people would have to dip the hats in mercury and mold the hats, and they all knew that they would end up going crazy because they were dealing with this mercury, but they took those jobs because they needed to support their family, knowing that probably in their 50s they would just go crazy. But the Mad Hatter, it was from mercury.
Wow.
So it's really interesting. Marksmen, they don't have a lot of lead in the bullets anymore, but there was a lot of cops that had to shoot all the time, or, vets that had to practice in boot camp with shooting, and they were basically breathing in lead. You had leaded gasoline. You had old homes with lead pipes and lead paint. I had a little girl with lead poisoning that used to chew on a lead pencil when she was younger. She would just basically chew on and eat lead pencils. A lot of toys from China had lead in them. I had thallium and cadmium in my body from soldering and building DC motors in the automotive industry. And you're just breathing this in. There was heavy metals in our water system. I'm not sure. There's still heavy metals in our water system. So you're getting that in your body from showering. Let's see where else. There's so many places. Oh, a lot of those whey proteins where, the bodybuilders are drinking those protein drinks have a lot of heavy metals in them. There's so many ways we get heavy metals. Oh, people that live in Vegas, those lights that shine all the time, off gas mercury. A lot of people in Vegas have mercury. We have a valley here in Denver, so a lot of lead settles into the valley, so we pick up a lot of lead in Denver. And the way you can test it is the best way is a 24-hour urine challenge, where you're basically peeing into a jug for 24 hours, and then you take a little bit of that, send it off to a lab, and you can get a pretty good idea. A lot of them won't test for cobalt or what's the other one? Chromium. I don't think they don't all test for all the metals. And a lot of people have cobalt and chromium hips in their heavy metals. And so that can also cause neurological problems like almost Parkinson's type symptoms,
What about
these heavy metals.
the old cavities?
That's great. The amalgam fillings, nickel, lead, tin, and mercury. And so you're going to have that every time you chew. It's off-gassing those heavy metals. And so eventually, use the bottle, you're younger and your heavy metals are here and you're detoxing and you're detoxing. You get older, your body doesn't detox as well. So then all of a sudden your glass spilleth over and you've got tremors. So people say, well, I've had these amalgam fillings my whole life. Well, yeah, but now you're older and your body's not detoxing as well as it used to. And now that the glass has spilled over, you need to do some detoxing. And people don't understand that, there's books written called Detox or Die. There's these books written that, are really informing us we need to detox our bodies, and that the Harmonic Egg does help detox the body. And you'll smell things as center owners. You'll have a smell in the room. You'll smell heavy metals. You'll smell mold. You'll smell urine if there's like kidney and bladder issues. You'll smell old anesthesia. You'll smell just different smells like that are off-gassing from the body when they're
Wow.
in there. It's really super cool. Really, really amazing.
You know, as you were talking, it reminded me a little bit about my father, who was a sheet metal worker, and he used to make oven hood ranges that would go right over your stove. And he did that for 30 plus years, and he ended up getting cancer. He died of cancer. And it just, as you were talking, I was like, man, he must have been breathing. He worked in that factory, and he was there where they used to paint right behind him. Their paint section was there, and there was no ventilation. And so he must have took in a lot of chemicals to where, you know, and totally unaware, not educated. We're not talking about this stuff enough. We're not taking responsibility for doing detoxing. I mean, no one, I don't know anybody detoxed in the 70s, 80s when I was growing up. It just wasn't, if it was happening, it wasn't happening around me. So
Right.
I think that in today's world, you know, we're educating ourselves, and we're giving ourselves permissions to have discussions like this, because it could be the one little missing piece that somebody can go, oh my God, maybe that's something I can go tell my doctor, or maybe that's something I can start focusing on, which I'm so grateful that we're now turning a corner, and we're starting to pick up some momentum on helping people heal themselves. Thank you for talking to me a little bit more about that.
Well, I'm sorry about your dad, because it is true. I had a doctor come into my center years ago, and she said, Gail, why do you think people get cancer? And I said, well, I think it's a viral load. And the virus, you know, like, this is probably gross, but the virus poops, and then it eats itself, and then it poops and it eats itself. And all of a sudden you're toxic and you've got cancer.
Mm.
And she said, well, Gail, how come the body didn't fight off that virus? Just like we know we can fight off a virus. And I said, I don't know. And she said, go deeper. She said, I have been working with cancer for 28 years. It's heavy metals.
Wow.
And she's got it down to, you know, brain cancer is this metal, liver cancer is this metal, breast cancer is this metal. And she had it down to a science from her experiences. So I do feel like we get disease from 5 reasons: heavy metals, inflammation, stress, fatty liver, and immune problems. And I don't believe autoimmune. I believe, and people are going to just now turn it off right now, because they're going to be like, oh no, Gail, you're wrong. There is autoimmune. I believe that autoimmune is a virus attacking our body. And it's something science and medicine hasn't discovered yet. I don't believe that our bodies betray us that way. I don't believe our bodies would attack themselves. Our spirit, source, God, universe, whatever word you use, we have perfect bodies. There is not a human being on this planet that could reproduce this with the intricacies and everything the body does. It's not going to attack itself. But yet we're told you know, your body's betraying you, your body's attacking itself, and we lose hope in healing. And I really think it's just something that hasn't been discovered yet. And I've learned a lot of that from the medical medium, you know, just the reading that I've done with different, you know, books that he's put out.
Yeah, I believe that too. I believe our bodies are extraordinary, and that, you know, they're set up to ultimately help us win in all ways. And if you're listening and you don't believe it, I'm just going to ask you to be open. We're not trying to force you to believe something. We're just asking you to be open, because your open-mindedness could actually save your life. And I think that there's millions of people that have attested to me being open to something in my 30s that I wasn't open in my 20s, actually caused me to look at something that actually saved my life. So stay open, because you never know what a message is supposed to be coming to you at the right time to help you heal. If we were talking a little bit about cancer, that's actually our next subject. So if you want to know more about cancer, click on the next video.